Hey, good evening, everyone. This is the September 21st, 2022 meeting of the Lacey Historical Commission. And I believe we have a quorum of commissioners. And I'd like to call the meeting to order. Do I need a motion for that?
No.
No. Okay. Excellent. Looks like the first thing on the agenda for number 2 is if there's any additions or deletions to the agenda.
I'd like to propose a note that we've been approached by the Thurston County Historic Commission to, in some way, shape, or form, be present or presenting at an October 8th gathering that they're putting together.
So we could put that under new business 8C.
New business 8C. Add. And 8C, we will Thurston County Commission attendance.
It's called Heritage Day.
Heritage Day. Okay. Does that work, Jim? Excellent. Do we need a motion to adjust the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. So first we'll make a motion to adopt the agenda and then a motion to amend it.
No, just one motion to
Okay,
change,
just one.
to
Okay.
change it.
So I'll make a
Anyone like
motion. I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Second.
It's everyone.
Now you need to ask for a vote.
Yes. Commissioners in favor of adopting the agenda as amended.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is adopted as amended. Excellent. So we'll move on to number 3, which is introductions and announcements. I don't have any announcements right now.
I have so many.
Awesome. Shall we do introductions first and then move to announcements?
Yeah, so since Jen isn't here, I did want to welcome our new commissioners, Ed and Kevin, and Tulei hopefully will be here later and she can introduce herself. We really appreciate your willingness to serve your community by being on the Historical Commission. So it'd be great if the new commissioners could introduce themselves, and then we'll have the existing commissioners also share about themselves. So maybe some things to include would be why you joined the commission, or if you're on it, how long you've been on, what you do for a living, how long you've lived here, what you love about Lacey. Maybe it's the museum. Just a thought. Anyway, we can start with Kevin.
Okay, my name is Kevin Wyckoff. I moved to July of 2020. I at one point I had an aspiration to be a historian, but I realized that there's no money to be really made in that. And so I ended up doing more practical. I work for Lakewood Water District. I am in charge of the computer mapping for them, and so I like how different ways to kind of display data and how to get that going. This is just kind of like an interesting way of being able to get involved in the community. We bought our first house here, and so just kind of putting down roots. Originally from Colorado, I bounced all over the place before I made it here, but I'm learning that there's been some cool things with Wyckoffs here before me. So been that side of Wyckoff history here, so that's pretty cool.
I was going to ask if you were related.
Not at all. I mean, so actually that is one of my favorite things. So basically everybody with that spelling of our last name goes back to Peter Clausen Wyckoff, who immigrated here in 1637. And then he had 4 kids and we kind of just branched out.
Nice.
Cool. Great. Thanks for introducing yourself, and we look forward to having you on the commission. Who would like to go next?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand her, but.
Oh.
maybe Ed would like to go next.
Ed, would you like?
My name's Ed Holm, and I guess my major history is I'm a lawyer. I practiced 55 years, about 35 of them here, practiced Spokane. And did a lot of Indian fishing stuff, so I got a lot of Indian friends. So I'll kind of be on their side a little bit. And the Sue that you, Amarone, or but she is now a Japanese gal, she did all the negotiations, all those treaties that did with all the Indian fishing, and she worked for me. So we were happy with that. But I got a lot of history. I got a lot of obligations. I feel good and bad about some of the things I've done with him, and I was hoping I'd get involved out here in Lacey. I was amazed when I came. I got watched when I moved here. Lacey was just getting started. I got here in 1969, so they were just getting started, and so I go way back to then because I was looking at houses then, but I went over to Olympia and ended up buying there. And then we ended up, I became a prosecutor here about the turn of the century, about the year 2000. I was here 12 years. I was a prosecutor. And really enjoyed working with the Lacey police. They've got a very good police force, and the people were great to deal with. And Olympia's not always that good. So that's why I was really happy with Lacey in that sense. I knew the chiefs and all them, and we worked close together. I retired in about 2012, I guess, and I then practiced for a while. Just got a half a practice for about 7 or 8 years around town, but then I ended up about 3 years ago. I just shut her down. I got too tired of it. I turned 83 last week, so I'm pretty crotchety. But other than that, my wife is still a lawyer and she's still working. So she works for the nursing commission.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, great.
Years. So I've got 3 kids that I'm quite proud of. I've got one's a doctor back in Einstein Hospital in New York City. He just became a doctor, and now he's head of residence back there. And then I've got a daughter who just has been out of law school for about 3 years. She's a twin to the doctor, and she's a lobbyist for Instacart, and she's doing very well with that. She represents 14 states for them. And then I've got another son that's doing very well at everybody goes very well out there. It's Amazon. He's the one making the money. So anyway, and I've got 2 other kids. One's a truck driver, and he does a good job and always has good. And I've got a daughter that's just been married for 50 years. That's all. So that's pretty good. So that's about all I know, or I can tell about myself. Anything you want to know, I'll answer any question you got.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing, and we look forward to having you on the commission.
Thank you.
And it looks like our third new commissioner has joined us. And is it Tulay? Is that how you pronounce your first name?
Tulai.
Tulai. Excuse me for my mispronunciation. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Tulai Fatane. I live here in Lacey. We're stationed here 3 times, back in 99, 2008, and came back in 2014, retired here as a military family, and I'm still working for the government here on JBLM, and it's nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you for joining us. I look forward to getting to know you.
Thank you.
Great. I guess I'll go ahead and introduce myself as the acting chair for now. My name is Sarah 30acre. I'm the vice chair of the commission. I have lived in Lacey for the last 20 years. My kids went to school here, and both are now students at South Puget Sound Community College. And I work for Washington State. I have for the last 25 years and currently work in historic preservation. So there is fun money to be made in the profession. I work for a small state agency that provides grants for salmon recovery and outdoor recreation. And my primary work revolves around consulting with tribes and Department of Archaeology, cities, towns, local jurisdictions, and that sort of work. And I have really enjoyed my time on the commission, and it's always exciting to meet new people. So on to, how about Jim?
Excuse me, I'm Jim Keogh. I've been on the commission for about 2 years, I believe it is, right now. Have lived in Thurston County since 1988, although only in Lacey for about the last 3 years. Let's see, background is kind of an interesting mix. I started out working in community improvement groups in Tacoma, then eventually worked in healthcare for a while, mostly in the kind of the policy side. Worked in economic development for the state for about 20 years, and then went into policy work again with the insurance commissioner's office for about 10. Some of my sideline projects, I'm kind of the family genealogist. I've for a long time, including the time I was in Olympia and in Tacoma, did a lot of work with neighborhood improvement groups, both looking at their history and their land usage. And have a couple of sons who live in the Lacey area now, one working for state government as a budget officer, and the other one as a speech and language pathologist at the high school.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing, Jim. Alan,
I'm still here.
do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Alan Tyler. I've been on the commission for 6 years. I'm on my 3rd term. I recently took over the family's construction business, so I'm a general contractor, and I'm split between the west side and the east side right now. So I have 3 boys that are in the construction industry, so they keep me busy.
Excellent.
Oh, and I've lived in
Thank
Lacey
you.
18 years. Sarah's
Wow.
lived way longer than me.
Just a little bit. I don't know if mine actually counts, because when I first moved here, the side of the road I live on wasn't incorporated. And then it got incorporated. So
Well, I'm kind of on the fence. I got Olympia trucks driving down my street all the time. I get nervous about it.
yep. Okay, Kimberly.
Yeah. Hi. Nice to meet you all. My name's Kimberly Goetz. I have been on the commission also for 6 years. And in my, sorry. Yes, you may, over the meetings, get to know one of the dogs who insists on attention as soon as I start talking to the computer. So the dog says hello. Her name's Piper. I have been, like I said, been on the commission for 6 years in my real working life. I also work for the state. I'm a policy analyst for Department of Ecology. So happy to be with you, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks. And then do this Lacey staff want to introduce themselves, or has that already happened?
We had an orientation and they got to know us then, so I think we can forego that.
Okay, excellent. Well, that was great. I think we are missing a couple folks. Are we missing anyone?
We just, let's see, one,
I
two.
think we have everyone.
No, we have
I
everyone.
think, oh, great. I think I was thinking student commissioner, but I'm not sure where we're at with that.
Yeah, we haven't been assigned a new person yet.
Okay,
Yeah, we have
okay,
over, so we'll meet them next meeting.
great, great. Excellent. So then, yeah.
I have a couple of announcements.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So the first announcement is that the commissioner term changes were approved at the September 15th city council meeting. I saw that letters went out today to people whose term is changing, but if anyone needs a reminder about when their term expires, the information is on the Historical Commission website. I am going to pull that up now to show you that, but also to show you something else that I have been working on. Okay. So if we go to Historical Commission. So down here at the bottom of the Historical Commission page, underneath public comment is a list of all the current commissioners. And Tulay, I saw that your paperwork all came in without an apostrophe, but I feel like there is one. Should we put an apostrophe between the A and the I?
Yes, there is apostrophe. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I will put that in. All right. So the term expirations are all here. And then I wanted to draw your attention to this little link below the names. I've created a resource page for you guys. So there's a nice little picture with everyone at the depot grand opening. But if you scroll down, there's information on the municipal code. Our policies are all here. Your work plans are here. The policies for Lacey History Month and awards are all here. The register properties are listed under here, along with links to the review process, the nomination process, and the Secretary of Interior standards in case you need to reference them. These have map links to each of the properties so that you can see where they're located. And then there's some links here to training. The open government training is linked here, and the CLG training is also linked here. And then there are some information on the museum, including our policy manual, the strategic plan, and then links to various parts of the museum's website, including the new museum project and the Depot Park website. At the bottom is the org chart for the department and links to contacts and parks and things like that. I made this for the new commissioners, but I thought it would be a really great resource for everyone to have. So there you go. Please do let me know if you think there should be anything added to it. I'd be glad to do that.
That's great, Erin. Thank you. It's nice to have it all in one spot.
Isn't it though? And it's nice to not have to print everything and put it in a binder. Okay, that's my announcements.
Thank you. Excellent. I appreciate that. I'm trying to update my website at work and I could use your expertise.
Well, I'm learning as I go. That's
so I think we're ready to move on to number 4 if there's no further announcements by anyone else, any other commissioners. Nope, hearing none. So number 4 is approval of the minutes from our last meeting. And if you've reviewed those and if there's any corrections to those meeting minutes. So we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
So moved.
Seconded.
Second. Thirded. All in favor of approving
Nope.
the minutes as
first.
no?
You need to ask for discussion.
Oh, sorry. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Then we'll move to approve the minutes as displayed in the agenda packet. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. We'll move on to number 5, correspondence.
We didn't receive any correspondence for this meeting, so there is none to report.
Excellent. And then number 6, calendar of events. Is that you, Erin?
Sarah and I are both going to be tackling that. I'll go ahead and
Great.
go first. Our History Talk season begins next week with Drew Crooks, who is speaking on Edward Lang, an early artist in Thurston County. That's on Wednesday, September 28th at 6:30. And this first one of the season is virtual only at the presenter's request. And then we'll be starting our hybrid presentations after that. On October 12th, Karen Johnson from the Schmidt House will be sharing her presentation on Susie Lewis, who had a life of incredible misfortune that continued even after her death. And then in November, on the 9th, Wednesday, we will have someone you might know, Eric Ebel, former Historical Commission chair. He'll be doing a presentation on the Pig War, Great Britain versus the United States. So I'd strongly encourage everyone to come attend. They should be some really interesting presentations. And then I'll take it to Sarah, who is going to talk about the Jackson Goose Pond marker dedication.
Yep, so we've got a dedication event that's coming up on October 4th at 4:30 p.m. and it's going to be at the community center. And you guys should be getting an actual invitation soon. So we're not just throwing this information here and then it's never heard of again. So we have a short program. It's going to go until about, we imagine about 6:30, somewhere in there. We'll have light hors d'oeuvres. There's going to be some speakers. Jen's going to welcome. Erin's going to be emceeing the event. Nat and Thelma Jackson, who are some local folks who've done a ton of incredible work for the community, are going to be there and they're going to be speaking. We're going to unveil the artwork that goes along with the marker dedication, and the artist is going to have an explanation and go through the piece and what it means. It's going to be really cool.
Who is the artist?
What's the name of the artist, Erin? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Oh, I know that.
I can look it up if you really want me to know.
For people's names. I can get that information, I'll email to you. And then there's going to be a tour that you can or don't have to take, but you can if you'd like out to the marker itself, which will be put up in time. And Jen will lead that over as people can read it and take a look at it and see the marker itself.
To where?
There's a marker at one of the trails,
Oh,
and it's a dedication to Nat and Thelma Jackson, in addition to the artwork that's going to be unveiled. So, yep, it's going to be very cool. You guys will get an invitation with all that info, and then, yeah, that's it. It's happening October 4th, 4:30.
All right.
Great.
and we're gonna meet here?
We're going to meet at the Lacey Community Center.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So you'll send out that announcement via email, and then do you want to like a response if we plan to be in attendance?
Yes, if you can attend,
Okay.
let me know. I'll send you guys an email and make sure everyone has the information, and then people can RSVP to me directly.
Perfect. I will be looking for that. Any other events coming up you want to share? No? Okay. Great. So we'll move on to old business. And A is elections, which we had quite a robust conversation at our last meeting.
I have a little recap. I had to rewatch it to remind myself, what did we decide? So we do need to elect a chair to serve out the rest of the year through December. And then we'll have elections in November for 2023 for the chair and the vice chair. So at the last meeting, we had an approved motion to nominate Jim Keogh for the chair. No other nominations were approved. And we did not proceed with that motion because I don't know why. Some people thought Jim should have a say in this.
If someone said,
I think that's fair.
Yeah, so now we are at the point where we need to vote on that nomination.
And just to be,
Excellent.
and just to be clear, I did talk to Jen subsequently and agreed that I'd be willing to stand for nomination. So
Great. Thank you, Jim. Yeah, we figured it wouldn't quite be fair to elect you without your knowledge.
Railroads can be built.
Yes, they can. So Aaron, do we need to reintroduce the nomination?
No, the nomination
Okay.
was approved, so you
Okay.
just need to take it up for a vote.
Okay. So we just need to make a motion for a vote on electing Jim Keogh as chair through January 2023. Is that
Through December 2020.
December?
I
December
thought,
2020.
I thought the motion was already made and tabled.
No, I thought so too, and I went and listened to it, and it wasn't. We
Okay.
inappropriately said tabled.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So therefore, I move that Jim be our chair through elections.
Through elections. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Discussion.
Oh, discussion. I always forget. Can't we just jump right to decisions? Is there any discussion about the motion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries as Jim Keogh being our chair. You can now take over the meeting. No, just kidding.
I'll let you do that, Sarah.
Were there any other, I don't think there were any other election actions that needed to be taken at this
Not at
time.
this time.
Okay,
But either at the next meeting or the meeting after, we'll take nominations for next year.
oh, okay. Great, sounds great. So anyone that's interested, feel free to inquire, think about it. Old business B is the new museum project.
Yeah. So I thought that since we had 3 new members, I would do a quick little rundown. I'll try to make it quick of the museum project. And that way you guys could contribute, if you have thoughts on the project, and they could ask all of us questions if they have them. So I'm going to do that.
Excellent. I love the background of your,
Thank you.
that's great. It's nice to have it front and center.
Yeah. Okay. Can everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have to be able to see my script and show the window, so I don't know how to make that happen.
Just do, there's usually a notes pages under
Well, I don't have
view.
notes within the thing.
Oh, okay.
So, everybody's heads are in my way. No, it still wants to go big. Well, can you see it this way? All right, we'll just do it like
Yeah,
that.
I can see it.
Okay. All right, so this project has been a long-term goal of the city, and it has been in development for over a decade. This is a rendering of the full site. You can tell I like it a lot since it is my background. And then this slide here shows the Lacey Depot and the train-themed playground, which is right next to it. This was built as a landmark project for Lacey's 50th anniversary. This building is actively being used by families, bikers, walkers, visitors. It's used as a picnic site and a place to hang out. This location is the site of Lacey's Food Truck Plaza during the summer, and it has hosted a couple of our park concerts. And eventually it will become a part of the new museum campus. In case you aren't aware of the location for the new museum, this here is a drone shot of the site. It's a little old because there's a building there that's not there anymore. But you can see the depot there in the upper right corner. Pacific Avenue is on the right side, and Lacey Boulevard is here on the left. The site itself has an important local history. It was the original site of the 1891 Lacey Depot, but the location of the original depot was actually quite a bit farther east at the bottom of this photo, off the bottom of this photo. And later it became the site of Lacey Plywood Company, which was Lacey's third largest employer at one time. And there are 2 historic markers at the site that dive a little deeper into the site's history, and I'd encourage you to go take a look at them if you want to know more. The museum will be an important cultural amenity, landmark, and focal point for the community and visitors to help know that they are in the Depot District. In 2018, the Depot District Sub-Area Plan was completed by the Community and Economic Development Department. It's available online if you want to dig further into it. But as you can see, with the museum site position there in red, on 2 major arterial roads in both directions, it will have a really high visibility in the district. This slide shows the objectives that were identified for the new museum throughout the project by staff, the Historical Commission, and through public input. These include increasing visibility. Right now we're tucked into a little historic neighborhood. It's hard to tell there's a museum there. We want to be a center for community engagement. We want to be open to everyone and be as welcoming as we can. We want to make sure to give people a reason to come back more than one time. We want to improve Lacey's identification as its own unique city. We want to also meet professional standards and increase public trust in the museum. This project has been divided into phases to make it more manageable. Phase 1 and Phase 2 were completed in 2020 and consisted of the Lebanon Street extension, installation of 20 parking stalls, the depot, and the playground. Phase 2 is the site design and engineering, which is what gave us that beautiful image in the beginning. And that was completed last year and was paid for with a $989,000 grant from the Washington State Historical Society. We're currently in Phase 3, but at the very end of it. Phase 3 was site preparation for construction. We received a second state grant for this phase for $608,000. The physical work is complete for this phase. We're just wrapping up some details and grant reports and reimbursement requests and that sort of thing. So my work's not done, but all the heavy lifting is done. And then Phase 4 is our biggest phase, and that's constructing the building. And it's dependent on fundraising and finding the money for that. Consulting with our tribal partners, the Nisqually tribe and the Squaxin Island tribe, is a really important component of the project. We have been working with them on the museum's building design and the core exhibits. A feature of the new museum is going to be a welcoming plaza that features 9 lodge poles to represent the signatory tribes of the Medicine Creek Treaty and to acknowledge that the land the museum is on was once traditional lands of local tribes. So the city worked with the State of Washington Department of Ecology for the voluntary cleanup program at the site due to the past industrial use. Being a plywood company wasn't exactly the most environmentally friendly in that era. So in the state of Washington, the owner of contaminated property has the option to perform a cleanup independently and request assistance and opinions from ecology regarding the cleanup, and this is called the Voluntary Cleanup Program, and we are almost at the end of that and expecting a no further action any day now. We also completed a cultural resources survey in 2021 as a part of our grant requirements. It was a specific request by the Squaxin Island tribe. So in late last year, Cardno, a cultural resources company, probed the area for artifacts. Multiple artifacts were recorded that indicated historic period resources, which wasn't surprising, but it was determined that the area does not retain its historic integrity because the material was found in highly disturbed context. The Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation agreed with this finding, allowing us to proceed with the project as planned. Also in 2021, we were approved for Salmon Safe certification. Salmon Safe is a nonprofit organization that started in 1997 with a mission to transform land management practices so that Pacific salmon can thrive in West Coast watersheds. Their science team commended the City of Lacey and our project team for our commitment to implement the conditions that were in the report and to manage the site to continue to improve water quality and salmon habitat over the next 5 years. So the good news is that the city's requirements were already very close to that of Salmon Safe. And so we're really excited to be the first museum to become Salmon Safe certified. All right, here is the site plan. So here's Pacific Avenue at the top, Lacey Boulevard at the south, and Clearbrook on the right. The depot, which exists already, is here, and the playground here. So this is the site of the new museum. This parking lot here right now is gravel. This parking lot has already been created. And this is the floor plan. I don't need to read my notes for all of this, so I am going to make it big. Here we go. I'm not going to go into great detail, but do please feel free to let me know if you have any questions. This area here is our exhibit area, and it's really cool about these roll down doors, and this has sliding doors and panels that will help us be able to keep the building secure so that when we have events up here in this room, we don't have to have the museum open and reduce that security risk to our collections. We do have a catering kitchen, and then our back of house area is here with a nice, generous collection storage space. I hope it's generous, crossing my fingers, with lots of room for staff to work, which we don't have right now. So that's really great. So the entrance is over here on the left side, and the back entrance is over here. And then our on the right side is our garage door entrance for large deliveries. This is a view of the museum from the west side. The lodgepole installation is there on the left. This is from the southwest. I have to no, shoot. I should not use directions because I don't have that kind of a brain.
Northeast.
Thank you. This is from the Pacific Avenue side, the back entrance. This is from the Lacey Boulevard side. This is a close-up of the front entrance. The entrance is got plywood here on the sides, and the land acknowledgement will be embossed into the side wall. And the plywood is there to sort of acknowledge its roots in the plywood industry, the site. This is the view when you walk in. And I love the high ceilings. It just makes you feel like you're really in a grand space, which I like. To the left is the event space. To the right are the exhibits. And although the exhibits will definitely be a lot fuller than this, this does give you a sense of the space that we're talking about. So the first one was the temporary gallery. This will be where our core exhibits are. And this is the back of house collection storage area. Oh, and there's a research room right over here where the public will be able to view materials like genealogists and people like that. And then this is the view of the main corridor from the other direction. So the front door is all the way in the back there. Oops. And then this is the back entrance. I do appreciate that it still looks really nice back here. It's not, doesn't feel like you're coming in the back door exactly. More back of house spaces. We had to leave very wide corridors because you need to have a straight line from where you're bringing stuff in, whatever the largest thing you think you're going to ever have, from there to the exhibit gallery. So that's what the big corridors are about. And these tables and workbenches and things will all be movable so that we could keep the spaces as flexible as possible. This is the office areas. In the back there is the director's office, and then the workstations are for the rest of the staff. And then this is just that same area from the opposite angle, and a little staff meeting table and stuff like that. This is the event space. One of my favorite features are the windows that open to the outside. You can put up tents right outside there and have a nice little event with some great ambiance, I think. All right, I'm gonna go back to my notes here. So thanks to a generous contribution from Fire District 3, we were able to work with a consultant, Pacific Studios out of Seattle, to develop the exhibits for the new museum. We are at the schematic design phase of that, so we will need to finish the designs for that, and once we get some funding for that, we'll be able to finish that. So this is the moment in the presentation where I would normally launch into funding, but for the sake of time, I think we'll leave that for another day. So just to wrap up, the next steps of the project will be to wrap up phase 3, submit those final grant reports, and then we are already doing community outreach, but I expect we will do it in force as we get closer. And we'll continue our strategic planning, and we're working on figuring out a strategy for securing funding. And I expect that Jen will probably have a presentation on the funding again soon for the new commissioners to get caught up on that. So that is the new museum project. Does anyone have any questions?
I do.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand you very much, and if you do have anything in writing about this that we could see, that we could read, I can't understand you from here in your regular talk. The other problem I have is I don't know the cross street where the museum is, and I'd like to know what the other side street is on that. It's between Lacey Boulevard and Pacific, but I don't know what other street goes through there.
So there's Clearbrook on one side and Lebanon on the other. Here, I'll pull up a map.
And what 100 block is it on there so I can find it?
Let me show a map.
It's 5700, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kitty
Okay.
corner from the post office.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Is there anything in writing you can get? Do we have anything in writing in that would be the seminal?
Do you have anything written up, Erin, by any chance?
There's on the website.
Okay,
What?
I'll
Okay.
find it. It's on the website. We've got to write up. I'll find it for you.
I can also share my notes.
I don't know.
Okay.
If it's the system, I guess, or maybe it's my ears, but I
Maybe
guess.
Zoom comes through sometimes.
But
So here's a map, if this helps.
Mhm.
So the post office is right here. I'm trying to think of.
I
what
know
else.
where the post office is at, so.
Okay.
Yep, that was great, Erin. Thank you. And we had a all staff meeting out at the Lacey Community Center last week. And my new staff archaeologist came down for that. And when I asked her if she drove by the museum site in the depot, and she said, "That's a replica?" She said it's beautiful. And I said, well, that's many thanks to our museum curator and all the detail that went into that. And everyone was just really impressed with how well it fit into the site and how it looked from the road. And so thought I'd share
Nice.
that with you.
Very nice.
My son and grandsons, by the way, just also were at a birthday party at the site and really enjoyed it.
Cool.
Yeah, it's great. Any other questions or anything to add about the new museum project from other commissioners? No?
No.
Okay, do we want to, oh. Did I hear
Lee,
someone?
did you have a question?
No, I said no, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, great. Well, I encourage everyone to pop over there if you have a chance. Food trucks are great and the museum site's really coming together. So that leads us to number 7C, which is the Lacey Depot and Food Truck Plaza. Is that the next part of your presentation, Erin?
Yeah, I just wanted to share a couple of pictures. Slides. Here we go. The shades have been installed, so I thought you guys might want to see those.
Mm-hmm.
There's one and there's the other. I think there's two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They look great.
They look nice. And then I also wanted to share that we had 31 reservations this summer, and our rentals brought in $3,800 this year compared to last year where we had 1,100. So that's 3 times last year, more than that. So, oh yeah, I had one more thing on the slide. And then Love Local Lacey is a separate entity that's been using the site, and I just wanted to share with you an event that they're having at the site called Spooky in the Park. They should have picked a different font because this is really hard to read, but there's a costume contest, a haunted train depot,
Ooh.
a trunk or treat pumpkin carving contest, news and contest. Oh, demos and contest. Anyway, that's October 23rd from 2 to 6 p.m. It looks like a lot of fun. So there you go. That's all I have on that.
Great. That looks like a lot of fun. Okay, if we finished old business, we can move on to new business. 8A, our recent acquisitions.
Yeah, I am not going to pull up the thing since there's just one item. But we had one donation come in related to the Lacey School. One is a really large photograph of the entire student body in 1937, which is really cool. It's in really good condition as well. It might be a reprint. I haven't had a chance to look really good at it. But, and then there is a stack of periodicals called, at first, The Young Citizen and later The Junior Review from the 40s. These were a national school publication, but these went directly to Lacey School students. And I thought it was a really interesting representation of literature that the students received during those war years and a little after. And both of these things relate to the Lacey School and will be added to our Lacey School collection.
Excellent. And for new commissioners, it's my understanding that when acquisitions come in, Aaron, you review those for alignment with our museum policies and procedures and how they're related, and then they're brought to the commission for final approval. Am I characterizing it
Yeah,
correctly?
yeah, you're characterizing it correctly. I do the initial decision, and you guys are basically reviewing my decisions, and you can totally overturn what I have decided if you so wish to do. But in our orientation, we kind of went in depth into what the decision-making process is. So yeah.
Great.
Could
So
I-
we need, yeah,
I wanted to ask if the name of that, what was the name of the digest that you got in from the publication that went to the school?
It was originally called The Young Citizen, and later it was called The Junior Review.
I thought I might remember it.
ah,
I'm that old.
well, you'll have to come look at it in the collection. Okay, so we need a motion to approve the recent acquisitions.
So moved.
Seconded.
Any discussion? I remembered.
Good job.
No further discussion. All in favor of accepting the acquisitions?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion is approved. We will move on to item 8B, which is I have that way too small. Bowker
Okay.
House updates.
Yes. So for our new commissioners and to refresh our existing commissioners, the Bowker House is the oldest house on Lacey's historic register. It's at 915 Bowker Street, which is one street over from the museum to the west. I just wanted to share that the owner has finished her remodel. I may have to ask her to give me a tour because I want to see.
Yeah.
She also has contacted me about whether she could consider adding solar panels to her house and whether that was an option. So it is complicated, but it's possible, it's doable. So I sent her some information about things she would need to consider from a historic perspective, and reminded her to talk to the building staff about it from the code and development perspective. So she's thinking about it. So I'm sure we'll hear from her if she decides to move forward with that. And then as a side note, there is a new owner of the Jensen House, which is on the corner of Olery and 7th Avenue, also in the historic neighborhood. They stopped by the museum last weekend. So I just thought I would share that.
Very nice. Thank you, Erin.
Mhm.
So we have the added item 8C, which is the Thurston County Commission, their request for attendance at an event. Jim, do you want to introduce this one?
Sure. So I got contacted, and I know Aaron has been contacted and talked to about this as well, that they were going to be sponsoring a Heritage Day on October 8th. And it's basically going to be for a chunk of that. Well, basically, I think they kind of, let's see, I've got something here. They basically open up at about 9 o'clock for doors for setup, and then they kick off at about 10 o'clock to a mix and mingle, opening acknowledgements, an annual Heritage Award, closing, celebrate Thurston County birthday, and end of program. So basically it's going to run from about, effectively, once you get set up, from about 10 until 1. And it's going to be at the Thurston County Heritage Hall at the fairgrounds on Saturday the 8th. They had asked us to have a table there to show some of the work that we're working on from our commission. And I've gone back and forth with Rob and talking to Aaron as well. And what they were noting is that we've gotten money in the past from the Heritage Commission, but as Aaron pointed out to me this morning, the Heritage Grant monies that we've gotten have gone mostly to cataloging Lacey Leader photos and articles and the scanning of the George Himes diary. There's a little of other money, but that's really the major amount of money, and nothing to the museum. And so I sent back to Rob this morning a note that said basically, well, how about we think about rather than trying to show, for instance, the catalog of what we've got for the Lacey Leader photos. You can only really do that by having a computer or something like that there. So that doesn't really make for a great table presentation. And so I suggested back to him, but I have not heard that what might make more sense is to present those items in the context of things that we're working on now and will ultimately also be even more available when we get the museum up. And so kind of using that as okay, here's what it looks like. Here's some pictures, that kind of thing. And then here's where we're at with the museum. And thinking something a little bit like what Aaron presented earlier tonight in our meeting is kind of what we would show them. I haven't heard back from him, but that was my thought as to what made more sense than trying to do a table.
And just to give a little bit more context, they had originally approached me, and I'm working at the museum on Saturday, so I can't go because I'm the only staff person. And so that's why they went to Jim.
We could get a halogen image,
A hologram or something.
Hologram, put you there.
Does Lacey do we have any pop-up, stand-up, boards or that sort of thing that talk about anything that we're working on?
We don't, because we really don't do booths like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that something like that would be ideal. This is very short notice, but if we had, one of those old school trifold boards with, photos and, maybe a QR code people could scan and then they could look at other things later. But I'm not sure that, given that we have quite a few things on the agenda for early October, if that's something that could be easily spun up.
Yeah.
So yeah, part of it was a question of what we were willing to offer back, and that's why I threw back to Rob. Part of it was if anybody was interested in being there to do some kind of presentation or be at a table or whatever. So those are kind of the questions. I would be probably willing to go ahead and do, like if we were doing a PowerPoint presentation, that would be something I could do and would be willing to do. Have a lot of experience doing that kind of stuff. But I'm a little bit reticent on the table side because it will take a fair amount of expense and time to even produce it, let alone the fact that that's the time you'd have to spend there.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah.
And, I'm unclear on the audience for this.
It sounded like it was just other folks who were interested in history and their friends, so other commissions and.
Yeah, when I asked about this the last time they did this before COVID, there were like 18 people who came. That's a lot of effort.
Right.
A lot of effort.
A lot of effort for that kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I thought if we had something canned, it made more sense.
Yeah. Totally.
Right. And maybe it's something that we can think about putting on our work plan for the upcoming year in the event that there's other opportunities like this, so that we, have something that would be easy to set up and display.
It seems it seems like that would be something like if Aaron had an assistant and some spare time, you might be able to think about that. But otherwise, it is an expense in both staff time and in just production.
right?
Aaron, does the diagram behind you, does that exist anywhere like physically, or is that just kind of a as a digital photo?
No, it's not physical, although we certainly could have it printed. And
Mhm.
I mean, I think that would be something very reasonable to do, because I think that we could very easily put something like that up at the museum, you know, with a little explanatory label, to give a jumping off point for volunteers and the gallery hosts to talk about. So, I mean, I think that's a totally reasonable expense.
Yeah, something like a board, I think that could probably be just useful for a lot of these different kind of events.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, with a link to the website on there. So, and it sounds like Jim might be willing to, if we had something like that, be willing to go put it up at the event. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, or like I said, do something like do a PowerPoint presentation using what we already have in hand, and probably adding a couple things, some, you know, examples from Lacey Leader and that kind of thing. So,
Aaron, what's the process on that in terms of like city review? Does that have to go through any of your communication staff?
Like, if Jim wanted to do a presentation, we have most of that already done. Like what you saw today, it would just be like, I mean, Sarah and I do that all the time, cobble together pieces of various PowerPoints. I probably even have a couple of slides on the Lacey Leader somewhere, that we could pull from, and scripts already written. So I don't think it would need to go by public affairs, but I do think we'd want to see, you know, the script before it went out into the world, to make sure that the information was the right approach.
Right.
It's a good idea.
And then I would hate for you to you know, stand there and try to do a PowerPoint over and over and over again. Maybe our response to them would be, we'd be willing to give a short PowerPoint presentation at 11 a.m. or something like that.
And that's what I was thinking, was something like that might make the most sense.
Shall we go back to them with that kind of refined proposal? I mean, I suppose we don't even know if they have PowerPoint capacity.
Well, we have equipment that could be used. I don't know how the city would feel about me checking it out for a commissioner. I'm assuming they would let me. I mean, Jim has a city log on and everything already, so it's not like that would be a problem.
So, any other thoughts from other commissioners? I'm going to be out of town, so I feel like I wouldn't be contributing.
And I know that I'm going to be out of town next week, so I really have just the week running up to it to spend. So,
well, isn't this question going to come up over and over again with different organizations? I mean, won't we have to be asked to do that kind of thing again?
Well, the events that we have in the community are generally fairly set. This is sort of a very specific thing related to a grant that we get. I could certainly see it being potentially beneficial to have, you know, a little tabletop exhibit on the new museum project, but like I said, we really don't go to booths events very often, because the work output for what we get back and our lack of staff makes it really, really hard to do those things. There just hasn't been anything that's a good fit. The only thing that really does make sense for that is Thurston Throwback, which didn't end up happening this year.
Right.
So I would say not really. There's not a lot of places where we go and set up a booth.
So you don't think we should prepare for this later then? Or try to get something ready for this type of presentation?
I can't think of, except for this particular thing, I can't think of any other place where we would need it.
Okay. Then why should we mess with it?
I mean, I suppose that's the question, right?
Yeah, that's the question.
I mean,
Besides,
the commission has been very, what is the right word? Very interested in having us be there.
Yeah.
And I mean, they gave us pretty good notice for the event, but when they took several weeks to get back after I said I couldn't do it to say,
Mhm.
what do you mean you can't do it?
right. So I would be comfortable either letting them know that we have a scheduling conflict and that we would be interested in participating in future events and talking with them about what that could look like. Or spinning something up to go to this event, but that would be work for Jim and potentially for Aaron if you have to get things printed or that sort of thing. And it sounds like your schedule is very booked.
Yeah, I'm working on hiring a new intern and there's a lot of stuff going on. It is really close
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
It would be hard at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I don't think that there's a huge risk in losing constituents or support by saying that we have a conflict, but we are interested in participating in the future. That's my initial thought.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of it probably has to do with just the level of exposure. I mean, if we're talking about the
Mhm.
past, there's only been like 18 people there. I don't think there's enough there to really justify that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hope that it wouldn't affect our ability to get the grant in the future, since the criteria
yeah.
has specific related to the
Yeah.
application.
Well, and it wasn't a contract requirement. It wasn't a
Exactly.
reporting requirement that we participate in a public event.
Right.
They could add that,
They
certainly.
could. They certainly could.
And then have their recipients report out in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my read on it. I'm trying to get better at creating some boundaries when it comes to, scrambling, doing work,
Yes.
and having the biggest bang for our buck. But I don't want to, if it's if it's something that Jim's interested in participating in, I wouldn't be opposed.
Yeah, and like I said, it seems to me what
Mhm.
makes the most sense if I was to participate, and given the numbers, given where we're at,
Mhm.
would be to keep it to a presentation that's 15, 20 minutes long.
Mhm.
Maybe have a single, easily printed little handout
Mhm.
that told how to access perhaps the Lacey leader photos or something like that from the outside. I don't, anything like that.
Yeah.
Or just simply gives a schedule of where we're at on the building or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
and Jim, I just realized they did this online last year, so I already have a slideshow that shows the funding we've gotten.
Okay.
Oh, great. So why don't we, it sounds like where we're leaning is responding back and letting them know that we kind of have this kind of limited offer of participation. Would that work?
Yeah.
If not, we'd love to partner with them in the future.
I like that approach.
Okay.
I found it.
Oh, very nice. You're probably like me, where you have 100 PowerPoints on your computer and they're just cobbled together into different audiences.
This looks really nice too.
It does. It looks really nice. So do we
I think
need a
I've seen that
motion for
photo,
that?
Aaron.
I bet you have. And of
Do
all
we
the
need a
people to talk
motion for
about it,
this?
no.
Okay. Great. I'm happy to, if you want another set of eyes on a presentation or something, I'm happy to look at something. I don't feel like, I mean, you're professionals. I don't feel like I need to, but if you want people to. Okay, awesome. So you have your marching orders, Jim?
Yep.
Okay,
I'll see what Rob
Great.
gets back to me with. I gave him
Right.
not exactly those words, but kind of drifting in that direction. The last email I
Right.
sent him.
right. Okay. Great. So I think we are moving on to the ad hoc committee reports, both of which are on hiatus. I'm assuming Aaron and Sarah briefed new director or new commissioners on committees.
Briefly, yes.
Okay. Maybe what we could do is just have whoever's chairing those committees just briefly say what their committee is about.
Sure. So the Policy Steps Committee is the committee that we've been going through how shall I say this, Aaron? A set of objective standards for museums and determining where our organization fits within those standards. And we developed we updated the museum's policy documents.
Yeah. And from that first thing, we developed the strategic plan.
Right.
Great.
And we are on hiatus.
Yes, members on that committee.
So I'm the only member of the committee. We have two ex-commissioners who have been filling in for us, Shirley and I can see her face and I'm blanking on her name.
I am too. I don't know who you're talking
Our
about.
historian of the year.
Yes.
Years ago. And Katrina.
Katrina?
Got it.
Katrina? Is that right?
No.
Yes. Right?
Okay. We will follow up on that.
Anyway, we
Great.
figured when we worked on the next thing we would gather new members.
Correct. And the archaeology committee was kind of spun up when we realized we needed to do some archaeological work for the new museum location. And the purpose of that committee was to function as a reviewer for deliverables, submittals to Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation, reviewing scopes of work for the consultant, and then those products that came out of it. That committee was myself and I think Eric, our former chair, and David, our former member. So when we need to reactivate that committee, we will need to add some additional members to that. And we are on hiatus right now as well. Great. So we're moving on to number 10, which is public comment. Do we have anyone on the line or already signed up for comment?
It does not appear that we have anyone in attendance. I was really hoping that Laney was going to be here because when I looked in the system to confirm the Historical Society annual meeting, it looked like they canceled it like last week. So I don't know what's
Oh.
going on there. So Sarah, maybe you could get in touch with them and then report out what the status of that is.
Can do.
So I know whether to take it off my calendar or have it at a different location or something.
Got it.
Oh,
Yes,
maybe
Lanny.
it said, didn't you have, Sarah, didn't you have newsletters for commissioners? Maybe it says in there.
Let me see. So it still says it's going on.
Does it say the location?
Oh, they have to postpone.
Oh, all right.
Mm.
They're postponing the event.
That explains that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we will miss Lanny and her updates. She always gives great updates here.
Yeah.
So with no public comment, we can move on to reports. We've probably heard the majority of happenings, but we'll start with Museum Curator report.
Yeah, I have a couple of things. So for new commissioners, I always include a written report in the packet. I don't detail everything during the meeting. I usually give a couple highlights, but you're always welcome to comment or ask me questions on anything that's on that written report. But probably my biggest piece of news is that we are moving forward with a full-time museum coordinator position. We were unable to secure a new position, but I have to give a huge, gigantic, warm thank you to Jen, who did some reorganization within the department and shifted a vacant position to the museum. And in return, I'm giving my part-time staffing money towards a half-time recreation coordinator. And no one's upset or mad. It sort of worked out because that position was in aquatics, and aquatics has taken a big hit in their level of service, partly because of COVID, but more because of the inability to hire people. And so that's good. I would have felt really bad if that had been taken from somebody who really needed it. So I was sort of hoping that the advertisement would go up next week, but HR has also been really understaffed. So at this point, I'm just hoping I can have someone hired by Thanksgiving. If it happens before the end of the year, I'll be happy. So that's exciting because I feel like we can actually get some traction if we have a full-time person. So.
Terrific. Yeah, definitely share that with us when you get it. I'd be happy to send that out to colleagues and organizations that I'm membership of, that I'm a member of.
Sure. All right. And then the second thing I just wanted to mention was that the virtual Pioneer Cemetery tour was a big hit last month with 185 people attending live on Facebook and YouTube. And there have already been well over 1,000 views on both platforms. So having paying a consultant to do that was not only a lot less work for me, but he already has like a pool of followers. And I think, you know, we got a new audience from that, which was kind of cool. So I would definitely work with him again. So, and then the last thing I just wanted to mention was that I've been doing a lot of work on the History Talks presentations, working on booking speakers, getting required forms and contracts, and getting the events on the website and marketing. And I gotta say, there is a lot more work to that project than I realized. So kudos to my former staff who were doing that while, you know, trying to do all their other stuff. So there is nothing quite like understanding your staff better than trying to do their work yourself. That is all I've got.
A lot of work. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Erin. That was great. So commissioners, I guess we will start with commissioner updates. This is just an opportunity to share anything that you're working on that you think might be pertinent to the commission, or if there's something coming up in the community that would be pertinent to share here. Don't feel compelled to share if you don't have anything. Jim, do you want to start?
Sure. So let's see. A couple things I've been working on over the course of the summer. I've been interviewing a few people. I've been the liaison with the Thurston County Historic Commission on their rack project where they were putting up a set of panels out there. And so I ended up working on the draft that they had for the Evergreen Ballroom and the draft that they had for the rack, and have at least got drafts out of each of those that are out, have people out reviewing right now as things where I've tried to weave some of the, like in the case of the Evergreen Ballroom, some of the things that Aaron knew and some of the things Ken Balsey knew and some other folks knew into some cohesive whole. In the case of the rack, trying to weave together the history of the rack from Lacey's perspective, but also some of the history of that kind of athletic tournament endeavor that now takes place at the rack that had been built actually from the Lacey Elementary School and eventually to Bucknell Field, and is now ultimately primarily scheduling at the rack itself. So kind of a little bit of Lacey's history in that regard. Other than that, I've continued to be working on the Lacey Leader identification, photo and identification cataloging project. And just to let you know, Aaron, I won't be there next week.
Thank you for letting me know. I am also, I forgot to mention this, I interviewed today for interns to finish this year's Thurston County Heritage Grant project, because Carson was the one working on that, and with her leaving and them not filling the position, we're gonna have to file an extension for that. And so I'm hiring an intern to finish up that project. So there will be someone else working on that as well, Jim.
Okay. Great. Alan, do you have anything to share?
I do not have anything to share this time.
Okay. How about Kimberly?
I don't have anything to share except Christina's name, Christina Treble.
Yes,
Yes.
Christina.
Yes. Terrific.
What happens when you
Awesome.
don't see people for 3 years?
Yes.
Mhm.
I know. I know. Okay, terrific. New commissioners, anyone want to share anything with the commission?
I don't have anything to share.
Ed, do you have anything for us?
I'm still having trouble understanding the chairman, or not the chairman, but I'm really having trouble picking it up.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll work with the city and see if there's a way to get better audio.
So better for me to go. I mean, I could go. I don't have to be here, or
It may be better at home with your personal device.
Yeah.
My wife
May
was
not, but it might be worth
Mhm.
trying.
trouble hearing the device at all. It's not the device.
Oh,
I can't understand the people. I can understand you guys, but I can't understand Aaron. That's my problem.
oh, okay. Huh. Well, maybe we can work on some test runs of that.
Maybe I could meet with her or something to see her someplace, or I don't know if I've only seen her once, I guess, before, and that's part of my problem, but it's a serious problem for me. It is.
Okay, well, we'll follow up with you for sure.
Thank you.
Anyone else? My screen just did something weird, so I can't see who all's on here. Tula,
I have nothing to share, thank you.
okay, thanks. Well, I'll close this out. I have been working on just a little side project trying to find some historic aerials of the area. There's kind of a big gap in the East Lacey or west side of Lacey, East Olympia area. So I'm excited with Kevin coming on and maybe someone who is more adept at GIS than I. I'm a beginner. And so I think that would be really helpful. I know when we've tried to look at some other reference documents, like for the Jacob Smith house, there were just big gaps in that data, and it may not be there. But it would be nice if we could find some of that and then georectify it.
Sarah, are you looking for historic photos? Is that what
Yeah.
you're looking for? Okay.
Yeah, and there's just this huge like time gap that we don't have anything from about kind of like LBA Park Boulevard Road over
Okay.
to about like College Street. And I can't remember where they pick up, like maybe the 68 aerials. But so I'll go back through my notes on that. I think that would be helpful. So in the future, that's something that I would like to work on a little bit.
Okay.
And
Yeah, please reach out to me about that because
okay.
I'm working on that kind of stuff.
It's those aerials she's looking for.
Yeah, aerial imagery.
So
Yeah.
Sarah, just so you know, I kind of missed a little bit of while I was looking for something, but we do have a lot of aerials from the 60s in our collection.
Okay.
So if you let me know what you need, I can look and see what there is.
Great. That would be great. I'll go back through and look at that. And I think that's all. I don't have much else to share. There is room for chair update, but we just appointed a brand new chair. So do you have anything else you'd like to share, Jim?
No, not from my
Okay.
his tenure so far.
It's an honor to be nominated.
Yes, it's an honor to be nominated.
There you go.
And then did anyone either Sarah or Aaron, you have anything that Jen would normally do for an update?
She did not provide me a director update. Did she provide you one? No. Okay, that would be a no then.
She's at NRPA, which is the National Parks Conference in Phoenix, and she'll be back for our next meeting. The end.
Excellent. So many people are in Phoenix. I wish I was. Okay, well, that concludes the meeting. I think number 12 is adjournment. So we need a motion to adjourn.
Also move.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
And any opposed? Hearing none, I adjourn the meeting. Everyone have an excellent week. I'll see you next month.